Well, hello there. Today we are continuing our Christian apologetics video where I try and do my best to explain and demonstrate why Christians believe in God, believe He exists, and why we follow someone named Jesus Christ, and also ultimately why we hold the Bible as an authority. This series is designed most for non believers as apologetics comes from the word apologia, some say apologia in Greek, which means just an answer given in reply. If you have missed the first two videos in this series, I highly encourage you to play the apologetics playlist available on this channel before you listen to this one because you'll need the groundwork laid in there first. So on the last episode, I said we were about to look into creation itself, meaning the universe, the stars, the earth, everything in it. So you and me. That's exactly what this episode is about. By the way, my name is Gigi. I like to share thoughts and ideas about many things while I am on this journey to wisdom and better critical thinking. I talk about many things, so click the sub button to stay up to date on the topics that speak to you specifically. Okay, so the universe. If you have ever looked up at the stars at night, if you have ever smelled fresh flowers or been at a place that looked surreal because it was so breathtakingly beautiful, if you've ever had a child and held the child while breastfeeding, if you were ever moved to tears by something that was so beautiful, you probably witnessed the beauty of creation, the beauty and the complexity of the world we live in. As we marvel at the wonders of the universe, we find ourselves confronted with an awe inspiring reality. The world, with its intricate beauty and unfathomable complexity, it forces us to explore the origins, right? Its origins and unravel its secrets. But in our research, in our quest for knowledge, we inevitably confront ourselves with the most profound question of our human existence. Where does it all come from? How did this all begin? Now, as you may know, throughout history, regular people like you and me, but also smarter people than us, like scholars and philosophers, scientists, theologians, they have all attempted to find the answers. And I invite you to look into it in your own time, but here's my little two-piece on it. To that question, so, where does it all come from? How did it all begin? Believers in God offer a simple answer: God. To the very same question, non believers also offer a simple answer: some form of an explosion or a series of explosions, and crunches or quantum like fluctuations, or sometimes a simple I don't know. So I'm not here to speak for atheists and agnostics, all other folks who don't believe in God, but I am here to share why people who are believers come to the God conclusion and to argue that it is perfectly rational to believe in God. So I will be offering in the next few videos the reasons, the evidence for the existence of God, and the credibility of the Christian beliefs. That is the perspective that I will offer. Now, because most people who don't believe in God bring up science as the reason for their unbelief, I'm aware that, some of them don't always put it as science, but mostly. I guess then the best place to start this journey is with science itself. What is science? You already know what I'm about to do, so hear me out. Oxford. Let's start with Oxford science. All right, so Oxford defines science as a systematic study of the structure, and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation, experimentation, and testing of theories against the evidence obtained. Now let's look at Collins, which defines it as knowledge or a system of knowledge covering general truth or the operation of general laws, especially as obtained and tested through scientific method. Yes, that's very important. The scientific method. I'll put a note on that. And then, of course, they also say such knowledge or such a system of knowledge concerned with the physical world and its phenomenon is called natural science. Let me also look to Britannica. Any system of knowledge that is concerned with the physical world and its phenomenon that entails unbiased observations and systematic experimentations. Okay, so from what we see here, I can define, I guess, science as a way of understanding the world around us by observing and experimenting and making sense of what we see around us. It's like a puzzle where we, gather evidence and we use logical thinking to figure out how things work. Science, I guess, helps us learn about everything around us, from the tiniest of tiniest atom to our the vastest galaxies we can imagine. And it helps us make discoveries that improve our lives for the most part. I guess a simple Gigi definition of science is looking at nature and its laws and taking notes and then being able to predict everything through it. But hey, I'm no scientist, so make what you will of the Gigi explanation. The way to practice science is to use what they call the scientific method. I remember you probably learned this in school, and of course, feel free to look it up on your own time to refresh your memory. But again, I can quickly recap from what I remember. Scientists observe and gather information about something, like a phenomenon or a problem in the natural world. And then based on their observations, they formulate a hypothesis, right? Remember that? A question, which is an explanation to whatever they observed. And that explanation, that hypothesis, has to be tested. Now, those same scientists then will experiment by doing various tests. They write down their predictions, they collect data, and of course, while they're at it, they will analyze that data. And if the data consistently tells them something specific, they draw conclusions on whatever they were studying. Again, that's the GG explanation. Feel free to look up nicer ways of explaining it. Okay, so do people that believe in God also believe in science? I mean, yes, of course, there are natural laws that are infallible. There is a proper way to test our environment and draw conclusions. So the first thing I'll say about Christianity and science is that it's not incompatible. Rationality and belief in God are compatible. We even know that it is true that in some historical contexts, religious institutions played a very significant role in the backing and the preservation of scientific knowledge, right? But also, Christians read a good book called the Bible, as I said, and the Bible shares some insights on the relationship that we ought to have with science, with knowledge. Now, those insights are revealed by reading verses, some verses at least. There are many, but the ones that are on the top right of the screen, I copy them there. You can meditate on them when you have time, and of course, if you are willing. But Proverbs 1:7 reads, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction," right? So the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Proverbs 3:19 reads, "By wisdom the Lord laid the earth's foundation. By understanding he set the heavens in place." By the way, I will repeat this until I have no breath in me, that everyone, including non-Christians, should read the book of Proverbs. I explained why in the video titled The Book of Proverbs. I know I'm very creative content creator. Maybe I should get help on how to title my content, but I just don't have time to look into all of that yet. And also, by the way, I have a very recent quick thought episode on time and its value, right? That came also from reading the Bible, so you should check that out too. But I digress. Okay, sorry, I'm refocusing here. Romans 1:20 reads, and this is just really my favorite to think about. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what he has made, so that people are without excuse. So I hope you're paying attention here, especially to that Romans passage. Hear me out. Christians are not some lunatics who believe in magic based on their emotionality and desire for comfort. They're aware and agreeable with science, the study of the natural laws in our natural world. Wait, did somebody say natural laws? As in, like, fundamental principles of rules that describes the behavior of the natural world? So, like, since the beginning of time, since like the expansion of space itself, you know, and like the creation of matter? Yes, like that. So that's interesting. And maybe we should look at what people think time, space, and matter came from, no? Well, I agree. So that's on the next episode. See you soon.